President Cyril Ramaphosa has authorised the deployment of more than 1,000 SANDF members to deal with illegal mining. The soldiers will also assist the police with other related crimes in areas affected by illegal mining. Joining us is Pikkie from the SA National Defence Union. Pikkie, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for speaking to us. Now, given SANDF's dire financial situation, from what we understand, how sustainable is this deployment for a period of 5 months?
Well, there are some concerns. What we've learned from the past 2 years on these sudden deployments inside the borders is that the Defence Force, because of them being cash-strapped, experiences problems during these deployments with, for instance, getting rations to troops, getting enough diesel available to get the vehicles moving and so on. So we expect more of the same in that regard. And where the money is going to come from is not quite clear at this stage. As everybody knows, there's a budget problem in the Defence Force, and so probably this money will have to be sourced from somewhere else. And unfortunately, that takes a while, and that is exactly what leads to all kinds of pains while on deployment.
Pikkie, how important is morale of the troops when they go out to a deployment such as this, or any other for that matter, if some of these issues, such as rations, which are critical, are not available or available in the preferred quantities?
Yeah, look, morale obviously is key. You know, if there's no morale, then it's pointless to have a Defence Force. A Defence Force with low morale is really going to underperform and not going to live up to expectations. We would certainly, as a union, be pushing very hard because of the experience we've had for the past 2 years in these kinds of deployments, pushing very hard that everything is there that the troops need from the very start. And if it isn't, we urge them to bring it to our attention so that we can engage with the military command structure and see to it that the problems are sorted out. The morale is very important.
Now, as a member of the union for the SANDF, Pikkie, how do you feel about deployment of troops when resources are insufficient? Can it, I mean, what are the implications on safety, for instance, of the very troops that are going into someone else's backyard in order to protect the citizens of a foreign country?
No, look, it becomes risky. You know, the less resources a soldier has to carry an operation, the more risky it becomes. And we want to eliminate that kind of risk. So it's very important that the soldiers get everything that they need so that their lives aren't unnecessarily placed at risk. And I think from a union side, also, just to be clear, it's very concerning. Even though there's a financial benefit for our members to deploy, obviously, because they get extra allowances and so forth for danger allowance and to be deployed and so on. But, and this is very important from a constitutional point of view, you know, we are very concerned that South Africa or South Africans are becoming accustomed to military deployments in the civilian street, when, in fact, the police is supposed to be able to handle this situation on their own. And so the Defence Force keeps on being used in a way that they actually shouldn't be used. It's very dangerous for a constitutional democracy to normalize the deployment of the Defence Force in civilian street.
So what is causing this normalization? Why are troops being deployed to do what the police should be doing? In this instance, let's talk about Stilfontein.
Well, quite simply put, the police is not up to the task. That is quite simply the reason. And, you know, for the soldiers to step in where the police come short, it's an indictment on the police. Something needs to be done about the police. They have 4 times more members than the Defence Force. They have a way bigger budget. They have all the resources they need to handle the situation. So if you have the resources and you have the manpower, but you still can't handle it, then obviously the problem is with whoever, with the command structures in the police. It's a very unsavory situation.
So, Pikkie, a couple of things I'd like to talk about. Firstly, is what is the mandate of the SANDF troops that have been dispatched to Stilfontein? Now, and the second issue is the local economy around illegal mining areas often depends on these zama-zamas. What is SANDF's role in mitigating community backlash? Because I'd imagine that's something that you're going to have to contend with.
I think, you know, to a great extent, this is just an impression that one gets over the past 2 years. Many a time, the Defence Force is also deployed for so-called, you know, display of force. It does matter in the psyche of the society in which these military or the soldiers patrol the streets and assist the police, and that's their mandate, is only to assist the police in carrying out the police tasks. But it does, create a sense of force, and it does make an impression on the society in which, or the community in which, a soldier is seen patrolling a street. We've seen that during COVID. We saw that during the uprisings in KZN a couple of years ago. And certainly this is a big part of probably the motivation for the deployment. But then, of course, we've also seen that, one of the reasons it's probably inappropriate to deploy the Defence Force to handle crime situations is because of the training. Soldiers are differently trained from police. They have a different attitude towards what they are supposed to do. They are way more aggressive, and this is what you want from soldiers. So it becomes a very fine balancing act for a soldier with that mentality and that training to, try and adapt to a policing task or a police assistance task. So certainly we hope that there won't be any violent incidents, and we do hope that our soldiers will be able to assist the police and be an example to public service.
Pikkie, final thoughts. We understand that at the last count, I think just under a dozen of your troops that had gone to the DRC had lost their lives. Can you give us a status on that number and just how safe the troops are, given obviously that it is a war zone?
The troops are fairly safe. There's always an element of risk, of course. We believe that they could be the environment could be made more safe for them, but that will involve getting more funds from somewhere and more equipment from someone, which we certainly can't spare at this stage in the Defence Force. But yeah, there's a high level of risk over there, and we certainly hope that there won't be any more incidents. But it's unavoidable. In a deployment where there's armed conflict, it's obvious. You are going to face risk, and there will be casualties.
So those casualties, you can confirm, currently stand at 10 in the DRC.
That's the information that we have. We have no other information indicating the contrary.
Pikkie Greeff from the SA National Defence Union. Appreciate your time.